Hi there, everyone. We are back. And yeah, computer problems. Computer problems, computer problems, computer problems. But here we are live, and by we, I mean it's not just me. By the way, welcome to the white void that I'm in. More about that, I'm sure, later. But it's time to introduce our guest who's just jumped in at the last minute and hopefully will have the ability to be heard because we've worked very hard in the last 30 seconds to get him here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Bubbles. Bubbles is here. How are you, Bubbles? Straining for a poop, clearly.
What? Time for time. Can you hear me there okay?
Just about, yeah, I can hear you. I
Well,
hope everyone
that's
can
a
hear you.
delayed response, so if everybody in the comments can just pop in if they can hear me, that'll be of great help.
If you can hear either of us, that would be great.
I'm kind of chopping and changing between things, so just to make yeah, because it's a bit choppy, okay, but don't worry, it's the level of professionalism that you've always come to expect and love from Baka. We take our name seriously.
the name that you so carefully gave to us as I Love Me have been told in their video. I loved your little black and white flashback moment. That was brilliant.
We are not just foolish. We are carb heavy. Welcome to Baka. Baka bread.
The bake broadcast.
Never has there been such corporate. Never has there been such just an amazing corporate synergy that nobody asked for and still nobody wants.
So apparently your volume is a little bit low, Bubbles. I don't know if you can do anything to bring yourself up in the volume standings.
I can talk louder.
I'm
Okay. Martin's like, Howard, loud and clear. Bubs, quiet and incomprehensible. So working as expected. I'm going to stand by that comment. I am standing by that comment.
I'm getting a volume control. I'm going to put it on your face now.
That's just...
See if we can turn you up at all. Yeah, I point out the computer is really struggling. It seems to be coming back to life a little bit, but we've had some real problems here today.
The volume a bit on your end because... Yeah, a few problems, but let's face it. You know, I like to make sure when I come on, if I don't cause enough problems, I don't feel that I really justify being here other than giving you a headache.
You know, I've turned you up and you're still quiet.
What's Sven talking about in comments? Howard, do you know this?
Let's have a look. Let's have a look and see. Okay, so
still quiet.
Howard, do you know the sad news already? That I really.
If we just switch it to audio.
I really feel worried when people say, "Do you hear the bad news?" and I don't know what the bad news is. Biscuit Drummer wants his job back. That news. I don't know. Can someone tell me what the bad news is? Because now I feel like I'm being held out to dry on this one. I hope it's nothing too bad. Do you know the sad news? Oh, I daren't ask, but I must know. Bubbles is typing to me, I think.
No, I'm gonna type this fan because I still don't know if anybody can hear me. So I'm just screaming at the void and looking ridiculous on a video. Oh wait, hang on.
Isn't that what you're here
I think
for?
that was in my job description. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna have to look at that contract again. It was in crayon on the back of a napkin.
Have you tried using percussive repair
Hina
techniques?
has.
By the way, Nguyen, no, I have not tried using percussive repair techniques, although the thought has come to my mind very much. Sven has pointed out that Hina has left Silent Siren. Oh dear.
I'm thinking that's reasons alone for you just to like if you hit it, get a good rhythm to it. You're into the music. You can
I love.
hit
Do
it.
you know what?
Hit
Do you
it
know
a
what?
lot.
Bubbles.
Hit it hard. Maybe go USA. USA.
What I love is that, first of all, your voice is not matching up with what's happening, so I feel like I'm watching a kung fu movie. And the second thing is the fact that you knew that your voice was not going to be audible when you started doing that. So you are basically, I should have known what I was paying for when I got you as well. So we have to address the gigantic elephant in the room, which is not an elephant anymore because Sven has just left it. Let's have a look at. She announced it on Friday. The content had been out on Saturday was the last performance. Okay, hi, big hello to Harry as well. Hello to Sven. Hello to everyone actually who's coming in. Mine, good to have you here. And again, good to have you here. Good to have the whole crew of people as well. I love that Bubbles has frozen on what appears to be a questionable pose.
I'm dancing as you're going over the bad news.
Fernando, good to see you, sir. By the way, just want to check. I hope everyone's getting a good solid stream. It seems to be going out well. I think I'm just having trouble with the messenger which I'm speaking to Bubbles through. So do please tell me. I know Bubbles might be freezing up, but do please tell me if I'm freezing up too. So in regards to the news, well, it is very sad, but can I just put my hand up and say that, again, I can't help but feel that I had maybe slightly raised a warning flag about this before, in that I do remember saying previously that if any member was going to leave, it was going to be her. And I know that they've been doing a lot of, obviously, their online videos, and it had been very clear to me. Like I said, you get this band dynamic thing, and this is something that I've tried to talk about in the past, where when you look at a band, sometimes you can say, I know which member is going to leave first. If anyone does leave, maybe no one will leave. And it was pretty clear that she was going to be the one, if anyone was going to leave, she was going to be the one to leave first. She looked like the one who was probably, I don't know. I don't know the reason yet. I'd love to know the reason why. As always is true when someone leaves a band, you tend not to ever get 100% the true reason why, unless you're very lucky. It's usually drawn up in a more peaceful way for the sake of the audience, for the fans. However, I would be inclined to say that she's the one who felt like she had the lightest tie to what was going on. Like maybe she felt like she could move on to other things. It just looked like, when they were doing their sort of activities that seemed very much in keeping with the ethos of the band, she always seemed to be one who was just like there and just, I'll do this as well. I hate to say it, I think she's probably the most serious one. And that can have a detrimental effect when you're in a band that is known for its lightheartedness. But credit to her. I hope that everything's going well. And I'll certainly be very interested to see what happens next. And I hope it's nothing of the more miserable degree as we've had with certain other bands who singers or members have left for medical reasons. I hope it's nothing like that. Anyway, so just to quickly, I just quickly saw Sven's comment. Actually, I'm going to read the comments before I get to Sven's one. So, okay, let's have a look here. Obligatory, why you hate... I don't know where that meme has started coming from, guys, but fair enough. So this meme really confuses me. The stark background makes this look like a hostage video. This does look like we're having a bit of a hostage moment here. I'm more than happy to agree with that. Thank you, Rev, for dropping that one. Thanks, Bubs, for dropping in all of the links there. Remember, we've got Discord, Patreon, Reddit, the merch, the Twitter, the Facebook. Fernando, Bubbles should reconnect. We reconnected a couple of times before this video started. He seems to, now he's just typing and not talking. We seem to be getting a very good stream of him typing. Let's have a look at that. Bub says, hit that like, we are not sponsored. Thank you, Bub. With my family emotionally, he says to, oh, reconnect. So Spencer, Howard would say now that she is the easiest member to replace. No, I don't actually believe she's the easiest member to replace. I think they're one of those bands where I don't think any member's easy to replace because of the fact that their sound was rather subtle. I think when if anything, people tend to think, well, you've got a member who's got like a really distinct sound, they're harder to replace. I think a lot of the time it makes it more easy to say, well, look, we're doing something different now. I'm not saying that necessarily works, but when you've got a band who deals with a very subtle ecosystem of playing styles, it's much more difficult to swap out a member, because if you get someone new, it will often be someone trying to prove themselves, and that subtle sound will often be broken up quite easily, and people will notice it, they'll feel it a lot more. Whereas when you've got, like I say, members who have a very bombastic playing style, people are kind of pre-prepared for there to be a big difference when you change a member. I think that would be the way I look at it, for me at least. I think they're going to have a difficult time changing members. I can see that face Bubbles is pulling, so I better read through and see what everyone's been saying.
People are admiring my smile. I have to respond.
Again, your kung fu vocal sync is amazing. Fernando, only you can answer that. So let's see what everyone's saying here. Bub, she was my favourite drummer. I just found out about her the last 5 minutes. I'm gutted. You found out about her after. You were a fan. You were her first fan to get into her as a solo artist. Clearly. So Nagian, yes, Howard doesn't hate breaking up bands. He seems to love it. This one was not me. I didn't do this. This one was not my fault. Yeah, the members only know this is a week earlier. I'm sure the fans and members are quite sad. Again, I'd love to know the reason. I get the feeling because they're a band who try to keep things on a very positive axis, I would imagine that they're not going to give us the honest reason. Unless it's something medical, in which case I suspect it would have probably come out more immediately, like again we've seen with other bands. I get the feeling that we're probably going to get at best or worst a sugar-coated version of events, because these things are never easy, unless, like I say, someone's been forced to leave due to a medical reason. There's always something under the hood as to why they had to make this decision. So interesting. Fernando says scary smile. That's his resting scary face, resting terror face. Do you know, you should just do that in the corner, Bubbles, and then anyone who logs into the stream will have no idea why you're just silently there. Bub says he also doesn't like cricket. He loves it. 10cc. I love how I have brought the silent movie era to the live stream artist innovator. All you have to do, if you've got the same controls as I have for your camera, you need to make yourself black and white like we did on the stream the other day. So I'm gonna make myself black and white for the sake of this moment. Bubbles, can we go black and white? Can you follow me?
I can't.
You can't follow me into the 20s. This is where people think that I've got a gin. This is actually water. Yeah, sorry guys. Should have said it was vodka. Alright, I'm going to return to colour and read what he's just written. So we will get onto some pertinent subjects in a moment, but not quite yet. Wow, I'm a bit brighter than I thought I was going to be. There we go. I've got a human face now again. Don't look like I'm radiating sunlight, which is what my forehead does in the majority of the time anyway. Okay. So, let's have a little look here.
I'm not entirely sure.
So Sven says that she wants to do something different, and I'm gonna be honest. Actually, that sounds like if someone had said how I'd guess what she would say if she was being honest, that kind of sounds like what I feel was going on with her. I mean, you can't tell from the outside, and it would be wrong for me to say that I know this or that I'm like some kind of oracle of when artists are going to break up. I just engineer it. But the point is that, like I said, and I've said this before, when you look at them doing their activities, which is a big part of what they seem to do as an artist, she always looks like the one who's kind of, she's having fun, but she's always kind of the least into it. You can tell that she just kind of wants to, she seems like the person who just wants to sit, play a bit of drums, get in the studio, do some work. She just kind of, I think she wants to be in like a normal band. Um, she radiates that feeling. Plus, also, obviously, we keep up to date with the social media. Of course, like a lot of her social media stuff recently, she's doing like a lot of that fitness and exercise stuff. And I think she seems to be like a very grounded, down to earth person who probably is not so much into the more um, fluffy sort of fun-loving atmosphere of the others. I think the others are kind of more casual. I get the feeling she's got that a drive to go in a slightly different direction. So yeah, actually, that sounds surprisingly. I would be willing to buy that as true. Shame again, terrible shame. I do think it's a terrible shame, but I'm happy because I get the feeling that it sounds like she honestly does want to do something different, and it'll bring uh, an interesting new chapter to them as an artist. And it's always nice to. I mean, they're an artist who've been doing the same thing for quite a while, and although I do think they're very innovative in some areas, I think this will push them to have to think a little bit about maybe what do we do next? Which is what they had to do, obviously, when they replaced their original keyboard player. Fernando says, all that's missing is a black and white picture, no color in silent movies. I obviously beat you to that. Dude, I already look like a pint of Guinness in the frame. Bubs could pretend to do the sign language. Yeah, Bubs, you could be my... Bubs, that's a really good idea, although there is a time delay, which will make it even funnier. So when I talk, you need to do the sign language. Is that okay, Bubs? So Bob says, I feel like I'm looking into the camera like a modern day narcissist. Narcissist, this is surreal. Thank you for that. Good, you should rub orange tan all over your face and then go and tango someone. Thank you for the likes, by the way. I appreciate that many of the people watching us have liked it. I know we haven't talked about much outside of obviously the news that Sven has brought us. I was jokingly saying that this was going to be sort of music news, but we've got some genuine music news. So if anyone's got any music news they want to bring us for a bit of analysis, do let us know. Bubbles, do you even remember this band? Do you have any comment on their recent loss of drummer?
Yes, I am completely neutral on this situation. Can you please let their fans know that I've moved address? There's no need for them to be banging on the doors right now because I've said something bad about a drummer. I love this. I do. I don't know what to make of it because I don't know how much you can hear of me, and I don't really care. I think this is the perfect thing. It gives me all the attention I need, but with none of the commitment to make sense, but silently. Oh, it's so freeing. It's so freeing.
I think that Bubbles has managed.
Just,
I love that Bubbles is not even.
you're
No.
just gonna screen capture the fuck out of this.
But Bubbles is not connected to the subject of the video anymore, which is fine. He's in his own area over here, creating the Bubbles zone. He's got a Bubbles bubble, a bubble for Bubbles. All right, I'm gonna catch up on some of these comments. So already half ginger, so no, says Bubbles is nice. Um, so Sven says, oh, today Anya posted the picture book she made for the 10th anniversary, and yeah, the end of the book can't come true. Um, Well, I can't help but feel. I mean, I said this before. I, I felt that there was something so. They were doing the 10th anniversary. Aren't we like the best of friends type of thing to such a high degree that I almost felt like either these people are like the best friends ever, or you're kind of tempting fate. And plus the fact that they've just got through doing a 10th anniversary as a band, I don't know whether that would be an instigator for them. Bubbles, actually, I'm going to say this because this will make Bubbles laugh. The company that I was working at with Bubbles when we met, they had this whole thing where on your he knows where I'm going with this. On your 5th year being there, they got one of the CEOs, which of course you were supposed to worship because the CEOs were so cool. It was one of those companies where everyone thought that they were like a Jeff Bezos, like that's something to aspire to. The CEOs would bring you on your 5th anniversary there. They would bring you a cake to your table, and all of the people in your area would oh, he got a cake from the CEO. Oh, he's been here 5 years. And I remember looking at one of the other colleagues as I came up to like 4.5 years being there, going, I don't want that fucking cake. I don't want them coming around here giving me a cake. It's like that to me. It's like for anyone English, remember there was that show This Is Your Life where Michael Aspel would come out of nowhere with a big book and he would say to a celebrity, "Oh, this," and they would do a whole program where they would tell the story of someone's life and reintroduce them to all people from their history. Apparently, there was a lot of people who turned down that program because they said if you ever saw that program and were told an episode was going to be about you, it basically meant that was the end of your career. It was like someone saying your career is over. And I kind of felt like getting that cake would be like the end of my life. So it's like, you're here forever. So my point is, going back to what I was originally going to say, I've got all the way to Michael Aspel. I need to come back from that. Is that I think that there's a certain degree where she looks at the 10th anniversary and thinks, well, I want to do the 10th anniversary for the sake of the audience. But at the same time, I've been doing this for 10 years and maybe there's been that burning sensation for a while that this is not 100% me. It's a good gig. I enjoy it. I like my friends, but this is not 100% me. And the fact that the other three clearly they didn't read that. Clearly they didn't read that based on the book. Based on the music videos, they clearly didn't read that was what was on her mind. Kind of suggests to me that she really is kind of the one member who's not in the same headspace as the other, and I do think it shows in the body language. So it's interesting but it does feel like the cards have unfortunately fallen in the place I would have predicted them. It's a shame. I don't like to see any band have issues like that, but I'm interested to see where they go. Harry's mentioned there's 3 days till a new Scandal single drops. That's got to be one. By the way, I should point out at this point, obviously you guys know the 3 videos that were due for this week did not come out. I hate coming on these live chats and dropping reasons and excuses. It seems to go on forever. Again, the content's there. There have been various reasons that for now I'm not going to go into too much right now, but I haven't really been in a position where I've been able to do that work. There's been a lot of other things that I've had to do. I will get back onto that horse, so to speak, but I've had to concentrate on a lot of other things. But I'm finding a way to forge out time for all the work I need to do. There's a lot of developments coming up this month, which will hopefully mean that my daily schedule will be a little bit more regimented with a bit of luck. But anyway, just wanted to let you know nothing has disappeared. It's just, apologies for the fact there have been delays. However, obviously the new single will be something that we will be addressing because, yeah, absolutely. By the way, Martin, you dropped the best faux pas there, the best one more title time even. That was actually a very good joke. From now on, I'm probably going to call it one more title because their titles they've gone from good titles to really dreary titles. So yeah, this song will be called from now on. It'll be called One More Title. Motto, hey man, how you doing? Meanwhile, in British news, Russell T Davies is returning as showrunner of Doctor Who. He was the one. Okay, see, I think I even know he was the one who worked with David Tennant, wasn't he? I actually know that.
Yep, he was the one that's restarted.
Thank you, Resident Nerd.
He started with Christopher Eccleston. He went on with Tennant, but he also went to create Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures. Big influence on the whole revival thing is what he is. I'm glad that came through.
Well, it seems to me like it was probably him who was the architect of it all. I'll be honest. I mean, as Bubbles and you guys know, it's not really so much my kind of area of thing. But I do remember seeing some of them and actually seeing like some of them were actually really well written. And thinking, oh, this is pretty good for like for cheesy TV. This is pretty good. So I do remember watching a couple of those and actually being kind of impressed at how well written they were. But then a lot of people, I'm not going to get too much into this, but a lot of people who said that, recently it's been a big old pile of poopy. I don't know. I haven't watched it in years. But yeah, that's what I've heard. Seemingly this is good news, therefore. Uh, I will allow you guys, those of you who are of a much more geek fluent nature than I am, please go in and give your comments so that Bubbles can be the arbiter of all the information. Fernando says, I'm just shaking my head side to side. Bubs is out of touch. Bubs is out of touch? What is he out of touch with? What did you say? I don't know what you're out of touch with. Well, I've always thought that Bubs was like a trend-setting hipster. I know he's an influencer on TikTok at least. So, Bubs says 5-year celebration. It was... He's frozen in a face that looks like he's choking. It says it was also a cake with a note advising you of your diabetes status. Scott, hello, Scott. Welcome, Scott. Hello, welcome. Good to see you. Been a little while. I can see you've left a few more comments, so I'm going to try and get through this. Bub says, Backlash Avant-Garde, live reactions, silently judging. I like how you're throwing the word silent into all of your hashtags today, just to sort of stoke a few fires. Sven saying Asian Kung Fu Generation exists since 25 years. I bet this only works so good because the members have enough room for each other and love music too. Well, I mean, the last point is obviously almost redundant. I mean, you would kind of hope that anyone loves music if they do it, but the first point is one of the most truest things. It's just for a band to work. And this I always say, if someone says, what is the main reason why bands break up? It's because there is a boundary that's crossed. Every member needs to know what they do. It's like a relationship. Everyone needs to know what they do, and they need to have the areas with which those kind of things work. And you need to be, basically, if you walk into someone else's territory, someone else's job in the band, you need to be able to almost ask them permission. There needs to be those boundaries to what you do. Now, that can lead to some bands becoming stagnant if everyone keeps on doing the same thing, and maybe they don't have quite the, maybe someone doesn't have quite enough ability. Maybe the person who's writing the songs is, eventually runs out of creative flair to do anything variation, and they've used up all their creativity. Then you might need to have a shift in how things work. So that's when problems can arise. Where you can either become stagnant, or it can work. But as a general, most bands break up because, as you pointed out, the members not giving enough room to each other. Bub's saying afternoon to Scott, indeed. So Scott says 3 days until Akai Karen's last concert drops on DVD as well. Nothing disappeared. Why are you broadcasting in a white void then? Okay, not sure where the nothing's disappeared came from. Apologies if that was a comment I made earlier. Just first things first, okay, in regards to the DVD, that's really good to hear. Obviously it's a shame. I know that's a band who went through a particularly tumultuous time, so but still, I hope that does them well, and I hope that money gives them I hope the DVD money gives them a little bit of boost to go off and do whatever's coming next. So I hope that money goes through to the artists in a good way. Although to be fair, they probably already collect their pay for that in advance. I don't know if they really get a cut from the DVDs, but still, hope that does well for them and keeps them in the public eye. As for the white void, long story, but at the current moment I am in a white void. Shall we just go with that? I'm in a white void, or do you want to create a backstory for the white void? You think about that while I read through a few of these comments, because we're still a while behind. Harry's saying, stop watching it when they cast. I think Peter Capaldi's I think he's a really interesting, engaging actor. Although I must admit, I kind of wasn't watching when he did that. Sven says Asian Kung Fu Generation is an artist, can even make a title like Boys and Girls Cool. I think Blur did that first. I'm just going to put my hand up and say I think Blur did that first, right? Blur's Boys and Girls must have been first. All right, Sven, can our resident researcher Bubbles, can you find out who released a song called Boys and Girls first? Was it Blur or was it Aging Humphrey Generation? Because I'm pretty sure Blur get that one. And I think Good Charlotte also did a song called that, just to give you an idea. Now, they didn't make it cool. The most recent seasons have been a snorefest, basically a bunch of half-assed rehashing of old ideas, says Martin. That's basically what I've heard from other people. Like I say, I haven't watched it, so I don't know. But I basically heard a lot of people saying that it was just not very good. Bubs, we are trying to outdo John Oliver. How it is off my homegrown page. We're trying to cover it all over mayonnaise variations. You don't know how we decorated. So I think John Oliver left his White Void, didn't he? I'm not sure. Plus, the season 12 finale pretty much destroyed the canon and performed a massive character assassination. Peter Crowley was pretty good, in my opinion. Liked it more than Matt Smith. I'm just going to quickly address those points. First of all, I didn't want to get into this because I haven't really followed it, but I had heard about what you're saying about that finale. I'd heard about it. I have heard it assessed. I did see the clip in question, and I got to admit, I did kind of like go, what on earth? But at the same time, I can't claim to be someone who's watched it, so I don't know if there's something that built up to that I don't know. But still, anyway, it did seem a bit bizarre to me from what I heard about it. But I can't claim to be someone who watches the program, so I don't know. I just kind of heard a lot about that because a lot of people had mentioned it. In regards, again, I agree. I find Peter Capaldi, I mean, Matt Smith, all the credits from Peter Capaldi is a much more interesting actor. I don't know how we got onto this subject. Like I say, I hadn't watched either of them do the role, so I don't know how good either of them were in that role. I don't know. Bubbles has probably got a lot more about this to say. I'm just going to quickly go through. I'm still catching up. I'm nearly caught up. Bub says there's a lot wrong, but ultimately they had to break massive parts of the history in order to keep it going. It's an institution after all, and a good money spinner. I agree. I think it's one of those things where if you, I mean, again, just talking from the outside, but if you retroactively do something, so long as you do something that reframes what's happened before, that's fine. I guess it's a question of do you actually like erase something that didn't need to be erased? That's where it gets into a complicated thing where I think only really fans can answer, and I don't know. Nothing will be Catherine. Catherine Tate, very very annoying person, but surprisingly, kind of actually wasn't too bad in that. Okay, so this is getting very much into those plot points. Like I say, I'm not going to dive into that too much, partly because that's not what I'm here for, and partly also because I can't really claim to have the necessary knowledge. So I'm going to let Bubbles do those replies. I have the feeling Lucy 2 breaks up soon. What do you think, band number one? Lucy 2 I haven't followed too much. However, I mean, I liked what I've heard. They're one of those bands who they look like they, I mean, there's certainly the things I've heard by them, they sound like they're trying to find a sound. And those groups always stand a slight risk of being the ones who are first to break up. And we look at things like Girls Rock Band Kokomai, they're like a prime example of that. But you always get those groups who are, they're trying to find a sound. There's another one I'm trying to think of. Can't remember. Anyway. There's been a few. The ones who they seem to have a sound, but it's not wholly unique yet. It's kind of like it's there, but you kind of feel like they haven't quite forged their own identity, and they may never. But you certainly hope they either do as their band or they break up and find a way of doing it as individuals. Bub says, I'm just here to do the Lord's GIF capture work to give Howard a break on being professional. Thank you so much. Martin, journalists writing about Nemophila used up all irony in Japan when a typo named their latest cover. You give rock a bad name. Look, like I said, I don't want to lay into Nemophila too bad because they seem like nice people and they seem like talented musicians. But you know my feeling about them. I think that they've got a lot to do before I can really say that I think they're up anywhere near the standards of other bands on songwriting. I think their songwriting is woefully lacking compared to their peers. Not that they can't write a song, it's just that they are very clearly copying stuff that they like, which is part of writing music, yes, but they're a prime example of what I was saying. I can't hear what is their sound. It just sounds like they're like, oh, we like this, we're going to do this. They sound like a cover band who aren't actually covering directly. Well, actually, they do a lot of covers, don't they? but then even their original stuff feels like indirect covers. So it's like I don't feel like there's anything fresh coming from them, but it seems like they should be. There seems like the talent's there. So I wouldn't go as far as you give Rock a bad name, but that is a very funny thing to put on there. Marta's left some interesting points. Let's see what Bubbles said to that. It's time for breaking up bands. Sci-fi franchise, my superpower is derailing a well thought out and prepared live stream. Bubbles hasn't said anything for a while, which is nice, but we're nearly caught up. Sven, if a band has broken up, what happens then? Do they get help from the management to find a new job? Depends on the contract. A lot of the time you'll have, because the contract with the management, well, again, it depends on whether they've actually got separate management, which I know is popular in Asia. Often you'll find that if the band was with the management group and the band split up, there will be some easy pathway to members renegotiating their contract with the same people. However, obviously, the management group by the same point will have had time to work out if there's a weak member who they don't really like, and they will be able to cut them off if they want to, because the contract will be related to the band, not to the individual members so much. That's certainly the normal way of doing it. So if the project of the band ends, then that's what they lose the contract with, but they'll give themselves enough options that if they like certain members, they'll be able to retain them quickly without anyone else getting their hands on them. You see that quite a lot. There's a much more aggressive version of that in Korea, unsurprisingly. Most music industries are pretty aggressive, so there will be some sort of contract renegotiation pathway, which will be quite quick, assuming that the person is wanted on some level, and if there's a good band, you imagine they would be. However, a lot of the time, the artist might break up because of the fact that they're trying to find a sound, and maybe one or two members are like, well, I don't like the sound it's going in, and maybe they're butting heads with maybe a record company whose executive producers are maybe a little bit too keen on, maybe the executive producers know the sort of band they want. It's like, oh, we want to have the next band made baby metal, whatever. They're trying to mold a certain band, and the band's butting heads with them. Maybe a couple of members are just like, oh, we're really excited to be in a band that's being molded for something bigger, and a couple of members are like, no, this isn't what we want to do, and as a result they may choose to deliberately push far away and be looking for other options so as to give themselves separation from that. So they might be actively alternate agent hunting, looking for an agent to buy them out of their contract actively whilst with the previous one. There's a lot of ways of it going down, but certainly if they are of any value, then the contract will be very easy to renegotiate. So let's have a look at some of the things. Amen to that wasn't a typo. What was it with these? Oh, okay, in regards to the Nemophila thing. Bub's breaking news. Hina is joining Duke. Yeah, she would play it perfectly, and especially considering she doesn't speak English, she could just walk around, go to all these different mysterious places, and react in a way that none of the audience will understand. I would be down. I would watch that. I would watch like multiple series of just a woman walking around confused by bizarre phenomena and responding in a language that no one in the audience understands before just walking off and playing a drum solo. Perfect. Scott Howard seems to be picking off drummers rather than breaking up whole bands. Check his connections to... My stocks are guarded. My stocks are guarded. Howard was getting tired of the never-ending drum beat in his head. Oh, I like how you're bringing these together. I like how you're bringing these subjects together. You're doing a very good job, guys. You're building this all towards some sort of crescendo. You know what I'm saying. So Mina, for example, is still managed by the same management. I assume she lives for what she does. Well, I assume they all do. I mean, sometimes you can see signs of it not being the case, but I always go into all these things assuming that every artist who does this as a career genuinely loves it. There's people who just sort of fall into a band and they get brought along and they do it because it's cool and they end up being famous and they're just along with the right people. That does happen. But I always work from the get-go assumption that these people love what they do. So not staying with the same company or not staying with any company at all, going independent is not a sign that they don't want to do it. Again, it's very hard to read these kind of people from the outside. Again, it says maybe Howard wants to replace all drums with keyboardists. Shh, he knows too much. But just so we're all clear, I have two cameras at different angles pointing at me. That's why I have my bad side. Thanks, Bubs. Next person who sees the GMIV should check to see if he owns a fob watch. What's a fob watch? I'm assuming it's a watch. It would certainly explain how he's able to get back in time to disband bands from the past. What's a fob watch? Anyway, and again, he's already in the white void, allowing him to exist everywhere at once. If he rotates the camera, we will see a police box in his... Oh, they know too much. Bubbles, they know too much. And by the way, apologies for me being very quiet at the moment. There are people sleeping in the other room, so I'm going to be quiet. I'm in the front room. That's why I'm talking quieter than I usually do. You know what? I turned the light down, and I think I want the light back up. I think there's the weird thing is I'm getting this dark mark under my nose, and it does look like I've got a Hitler moustache. I'm not sure that I'm particularly comfortable about that. So let's actually, you know what, let's go for the gamma. Let's brighten the gamma. Bring up the reduce the Hitler moustache. There we go. But then bring down the lightness. Doesn't really have any effect. No, I get the Hitler moustache back. Maybe I should just ultra shave in the middle. Anyway, why am I talking about Hitler moustache? There we go. I lost the chat for a minute. So, fob watch, a so-called a pocket watch on a chain. I do have. I don't have it with me now. But I have like a little chain with a pocket thing on it, but it's not a watch. It's a key holder. Close enough. It's really nice one as well. So I'm very lucky. I got it as a present for my birthday. We need to get the real questions today. Despite my lack of drum skill is showing too much chest hair on stream, lower my chances of playing with No, you just got to get an address, Bubs. That's what you got to do. You just got to get an address. I'm not exactly 100% innocent for doing this on a fairly regular basis. I think most people are probably used to chest hair by now or appalled by it so much that this live stream is just masochism for them. Well, no, probably because it probably increases it, to be honest. Certainly helped Lady Beard. Sold. Nice. With the Hina retirement, I think my hope of a Sasan concert with Yabai Yasan died. Yes and no. I mean, you never know that they might have made friendships through the other thing. And you've got to remember as well, it would be worth pointing out that if she left because she wanted to do different things, the big question is, how was that expressed? If it was something, I mean, look, they seem to be a really good set of friends, however. If she sort of just sat down to them and said, look, guys, I just, I don't feel like I belong in this band anymore, I want to do a different project. I get the feeling that if she approached it well and amicably with people who she's known for many years, it seems likely. And it doesn't seem that she's been causing trouble for time, because like you say, this book came out, and this book in itself wouldn't have existed if she'd been causing a ruckus up until the point. So I get the feeling that she's kind of done it amicably from the evidence we currently got. Therefore, it's not like she's going to be vindictive. I mean, she might all still be like sort of willing to. She might all still be pushing this kind of thing in the background, and she might still meet her friends for drinks and suggest this kind of stuff. So I don't think it kills any chance of that. It just sort of changes the dynamic of it. If anything, it might make it easier because it's not like, oh, I have to go play with my friend. It's just like, oh, well, my friend used to be in this band and she's recommended we do a show with them, and it might actually ease the wheels a bit. I don't know, but I wouldn't write it off. Harry says, I had heard a few weeks ago that Carbon Metal is releasing a book. And all the proceeds are going to Baby Metal's future activities. Sounds to me like their seal is not so much them quitting, but more lack of support from Amuse. Is it Amuse? Are we going to put this on the agent? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's really fair to put it on the agent. I don't know if they've done anything wrong, but that's very interesting, and that does unfortunately change the video that I just recorded again. Okay, I gotta go, but I've uploaded this video too many times. Yeah, we'll have to mention about that because it does have an interesting aspect to it. But then again, it's really hard to tell. Maybe Copper's just working the angle of like trying to influence the band to keep going when maybe the band's disheartened. Maybe the band, I'm not saying I want this to happen or this is happening, but I'm just saying maybe the band is disheartened. And this is like a member trying to show them how much support there is and pump them up with a little bit of crowdfunding. It's not beyond all imagination. Hey, Mercedes. I don't know. Should I go with Mercedes or Lopez? You've got two cool names. I have to shorten everyone's name down to one, and when you've got two cool names, it's very, very hard to go with. I feel like both names are cool. I'm going to go with Lopez. What's everyone say? Lopez. Hi, Lopez. And hi to Bubs. Bubs, you got a hello. You know, you can talk during this stream. I know I'm talking too much. So, hi, everyone's saying hi, that's wonderful. Bubs, do you want to say something? Please keep it clean. I don't know if I can take any.
I can't talk during this.
Well, none of that sound came through. Mercedes. Okay, we'll go for Mercedes. Okay, Mercedes it is. Hi, Mercedes.
Cuts out, and I'm
just getting little bits of you saying I can't talk. It cuts out.
So that's why I'm keeping quiet and just pissing about on the camera.
That's fair enough. You haven't done enough sign language for this yet. Where's the sign language going for this one?
You keep talking away there. It's delightful. You're doing so well. Go Team Howard. Go Team Howard. Go Team Howard.
Yeah, there's such a disconnection between what you're saying and what you're doing.
I try.
All right, so I think that was the point when Bubbles stopped talking. Maybe there's more audio from Bubbles about to come through. So anyway, Marta says Baked Metal fans will buy literally anything, no matter how ridiculous. I think crazed fans of any group tend to do that, and of course, when you're a group like that who has like a huge group of crazed fans, I'm not surprised when they do that kind of thing. There are these kind of groups though that they have the fans who will buy anything. They could release a toothpick, and people will buy it. Anyone who hasn't seen it, go back and watch the video that I did about the idea of merchandise when we were talking about the Flappy Pigeon. And when we were going over that, it was a really, really interesting chat we had. A lot of people liked that, and I think it was well worth going over. We were talking about, because obviously he'd invested a lot in merchandise, but we had a really interesting discussion about, okay, what does this actually bring to your life? What sort of merchandise would you buy, and what sort of merchandise would you not buy? Because I think there's a lot of people, and we've talked about this on Discord as well, there's a lot of people who buy stuff that they don't really need just because it has a name on it. But if you buy something that's, merchandise for an act you like, but it's something that you actually will use, no harm. I mean, if you buy a t-shirt because you like the Rolling Stones, buy a Rolling Stones t-shirt. If you buy a Rolling Stones t-shirt and you don't know any of their songs, like certain hipsters, don't buy that Rolling Stones t-shirt. Okay, so let's have a look and see what everyone's saying. Bub says, we are trying a silent judgment stream to keep Howard on his toes. That's my life with you, Bubbles. Scott, Hina threatened by evil incarnate. There can already be one 30-year-old drummer like the Highlander. All I'm going to say is, evil, Marta, you better watch out. I wouldn't mess with that woman. Rev, it's an Irish Norman Collier. Gonna guess Bob's going to respond to that. Bob's streaming from his potato. That got racist quick. Martin says, Flapping Wings closed to 100,000 YT views, but only one view in Cardiff despite being on daily repeat. Yeah, they don't allow those repeat plays so much anymore. Barbs, yep, this is just one mass NFT sale. This is the pre-show of the picks that may be available. Rev is saying, I'm waiting for the exclusive empty box just. Well, I mean, I'm going to reiterate what I've said before, and if you haven't seen the really fantastic live stream that we did about the Flappy Pigeon guitar and the concept of merchandise, when is merchandise worth getting there? I really think you should, because it covers a lot of what I want to say, but also covers different points. I mean, I went into that genuinely thinking to myself, look, this is a beautiful guitar, but I cannot understand why anyone would buy it. And we had a great conversation, and we really came to understand a lot of why people buy some of this merchandise, and at the same time also presented some examples of things that just don't make that no one will buy. So you know what? That's actually a fun thing we can add to this. I'm going to add this because I like the idea. I want you guys. We've got like 10 minutes left. I want you guys to list what you think the most absurd merchandise you've seen is. What is the most absurd merchandise you've come across? Oh, Mercedes on the way out. Well, have a great evening too. It's really good to see you. Hopefully stick around. There'll be more videos next week. Hopefully we'll be getting more on top of the videos. But good to see you. And hopefully live stream will be a little bit more coherent and on time next time. Bob says next week we are touching a coin with the NFT. This is definitely not a pump scheme. It's a new multi-level investment marketing, and yes, it will have the full professionalism of the back. Bubs, I love the fact that sometimes I can read a whole paragraph from you and learn nothing. Rev, Norman Collier was. Did I say Normal Collier? I was thinking of a dog. Norman Collier was an old comedian whose entire act was pretending his microphone didn't work properly. That, if you can make that act last, then credit to you. You deserve every penny if you can make a career out of that. So, good to see you, Mercedes. Do have a wonderful day, evening, morning, lunchtime, night, whatever it is for you. Take care is the main thing. Mo, damn it, I didn't realize CMC made 100,000 YouTube accounts. Hey, that's a good song, alright? That's a good song. I like that song. Martin's pointing out that brighter lead gangs of Fukuoka podcast to grow, but Total Turf versus Tokyo expected soon. Even nice, friendly bands are starting to flash gangs. I don't know what the whole gang sign thing is. I think it's a misinterpretation. I wouldn't worry about them all going crazy and starting mowing each other down in the streets anytime soon. Yeah, Mercedes, take care. Good to see. Good to see someone in here chatting who we don't see very often. Moldor, a new crypto to compete with the CMC coin and destroy the evil cult of Elon Musk. Count me in. Thank you again, Bob's dropping the link. Harry saying scandal mask cord. I can believe that. Not a mask, but just a cord to hang the mask around your neck when you're not wearing it. Yeah, that I can believe. I can believe that would come out. If you get like the mask cord and then just have the logo like really small, but just in a way that it felt classy, even though you don't realize you're wearing an artist logoed mask cord. Never quite as classy as it appears. So, I'll get my yarn. So, yeah, any other crazy ideas? Anything else you guys can suggest that would be really out of the ordinary? I'm trying to think of the weirdest ones I've seen. I used to think the towels were really weird until I realised that actually they're kind of nice. You can hang them up. And they're kind of a nice thing for anyone who's like a die-hard fan of any artist or anything. Of that ilk. Why is this last drop of water not coming out? Thank you, water. So Mara says, sorry Howard, I meant that CMC made 99,999 accounts. I'll give you credit for the 100,000th view. I like this idea that I only watched it once. Alright, let's see what Chloe there. Chloe. Oh, freaking on. Sorry guys. Mini gong and box of matches was a weird merch choice. That is pretty weird. That's pretty obscure. I guess it kind of makes sense with their whole assumed dramatic mythology and such like. I never really got that side of the band, or the dramatic mythology behind it. it never quite gels with me. I kind of assume that if it's being done solely for the sake of irony, just as a bit of a silly gimmick, I get that. But people take it really seriously, and then I sort of think to myself, wait, are we supposed to take this seriously, or is this supposed to be a bit tongue in cheek? I don't know. I'm not reading the room very well. Just throwing in random facial expressions to prove this is live, although I may still be held against my will. Bubbles, I want you to pull the expression that you would pull if a hammer just fell on your toe whilst you were winning the lottery. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that one. No, I don't imagine that. I don't think
Yeah.
you'd feel the hammer at all.
I felt a bit Carry On, bit Kenneth Williams about things.
Do you know what? I like this. Spencer's Asian Kung Fu Generation sold hangers for jackets. I actually think that's genius because that's a useful one. But you see it every morning when you take your clothes off the hangers. That one's genius. I like that. It's weird, but it's very clever. Martin says, I think I saw a red dot. Leave your forehead, so I think you're good now. Which one of us got a red dot on our forehead? Because we both have immense foreheads. Oh, it was to Bubs, I apologise. Harry, also scandal with wax sealing kit for making wax seals for closing envelopes and stuff like that. I remember, so anyone who knows the Japanese stuff will know the idea of the hanko, the red stamp that you use to sign for stuff. It's traditional. They don't use it so much anymore, but you know it's kind of encouraged that everyone should have one. I mean, I've got one as well, even though it's in katakana. But I remember that when it was like Obscry's like best of CD came out, there was this whole thing that she, with every one, there was a little hanko which was her name, and I'm just thinking that means that everyone can sign as her. Now, obviously, a hanko is the most forgeable thing in all existence. However, it did seem interesting as a marketing thing that Oscar Isaacs would go ahead and put his name hanko in every single copy of that CD. It just said Oscar. You went Oscar over Oscar. Oh my god. Fernando has mentioned the Band-Maid Zippo lighters, which can't be shipped out of Japan. They can be with a little bit of. It's not easy, but it can be done. That being said, I don't know if they're kind of weird, but I don't know, a little bit weird. Not the weirdest form of merchandise I've ever seen. I think one of the things that makes them less weird is the fact that a lot of effort went into them. They're not cheap. They're really beautifully designed and made. But yeah, I kind of get your point. It's still a little bit unexpected. Martin says, I think getting morphology because only the Fox God. Yeah, but maybe only the Fox God knows, but what does the Fox God say? That's what I'm saying to you. Scott, bink out SOS if you need help. Bumps. Oh man, I would, but I'm trying to put merch ideas together at the same time. Best I can do is blink out Bacca Bob Roll. It's safe to look at. BRB. Speaking of Outcry, are you going to watch the new Dune film? Okay, this is really intriguing, and this is a very Moto move. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm assuming that on some level that means that she's done a song for the Japanese dub, or that maybe even she's one of the voice actresses on the dub. Or maybe you've made a really bizarre, obscure joke that I haven't got, that maybe I should have got. I don't know what you're getting at there. But I'm really interested. I hope that this comes out to be an interesting piece of information. Because if it's a bad joke that I didn't get, I'm going to be just like... By the way, apologies also for the sound. I know the sound is very bad today. Again, can't help it. Everything's low quality. There is a reason for that. But we'll try and get everything sorted out before next week's stream. Maya says, macaroni bog roll. Gives you that soft, yet also rough and ready feeling. I'd like to feel. I'd like to say that it feels like having your bum rubbed by someone's bald head. We modelled it off of Bubbles, and then I contributed some skin samples, and here it is, the product of the year. All right, Bubbles is working hard on something. Ah, okay. I was expecting something better than that, but no Oscar Isaacs. Oh dear. Fair enough. I don't know. I don't have anything against him, but I don't rate him in the way that Bubbles does. Probably because I haven't seen him much. I just can't help but rate his name doppelganger. Fernando's saying, okay, I've got to run. Take care, folks. Stay safe until next time. Yeah, all lots of see ya. In June time, in due time, I will, but I'm not sure if I will in the cinema. I'm interested, but it seems visual metaphor heavy, and I'm not really looking for that kind of story. Yeah, I mean, he's an amazing director, but you know, he doesn't have a habit of doing those long films that maybe don't always pay off for the time that they take to develop. Okay, guys, I should point out we're over an hour now. I'm getting a bit yawny, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up. Bubbles, you've been so quiet. You've just been tapping the corner like a secretary. I feel like everyone's listening to my secretary in the background of my phone calls. Do you want to say something to the good people before we wrap this one up? Oh, wow. Bubbles has literally crashed. Bubbles has crashed. Oh, no, he's come back. All right, cool. Do you want to say something? Oh, he's crashed again. What's going on here? Bubbles, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to share any final thoughts with everyone before we take our leave?
Still can't.
Perfect.
Hear you.
All right.
Apart from little bits.
All right. Well, I'm going to say a big thank you to everyone then. Thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously, we're not monetized, so pressing the like button is a great service to us. Really is. Sorry, another one of these tired live streams. Really good to have Bubbles here as well to field some questions and get involved. There will be a concerted attempt to get those videos out and changed. And obviously, the point that Harry made today has really made me think about reviewing some of the stuff, or maybe adding some comments to the one I did. Obviously, regarding the split that is not a split. So there's like 3 videos currently sitting in the pipeline waiting to be polished and released. But I just wanted to say, hopefully there'll be something. I mean, trying to get at least one out a week, but I need to be upping that, not downing it. It's just like I said, this week's been really crazy. So I will try and up the number of the videos over the coming weeks, just so we can get everything running. A big thank you as always to our patrons. I know it's like it's one of those things that seems a bit silly to always be harking on about, although I know everyone else does, but to me, like, just Patreon, like, thank you so much to you guys, because you really do, you're like lifesavers. Like, sometimes I need something, and then what you guys have done is just a lifesaver. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to you guys. Until we see you hopefully in Japan very soon for the next one of these, follow those wonderful links as posted by Bubs, John, Ed to Harry, and we will see you next time. So for now, do you want to say it, Bubbles? I don't know what that is. What is that, Bubbles?
That's as far as I'm gonna go. You do the goodbyes. I do the gruff, resilient response gif.
You do goodbye. I do hello. Alright, guys. Thank you so much. I can't get the screen's crashed, so I can't actually end this video, so maybe we'll be here forever. But oh no, there it is. I can now send you to heaven. This is what you've all been waiting for. Here it is. Please enjoy your infinite bob roll. And me and Bubbles will, like I say, be returning soon. The big yellow. But just like with the bog roll, nothing can ever stop us. We can be worn out, we can be worn down, but we can never, ever be stopped. We will always regroup and keep going. Me and Bubbles, bog roll in human form. Alright, guys, I have done everything I set out to do. Say bye, Bubbles. Time delay.
Are we out?
No, you have to say goodbye.
Oh, right. See us.
See you later, everyone.
Just that. Right. Enjoy. Go on, piss off.
I'm really glad Bubbles was here for this one. He contributed so much.
I add so much.
See you later, guys.